Hey guys, what is up? My name is Paul and welcome back to Poll Talks. Today we are looking at the 2020 Senate election. So let's go ahead and dive right into both safe Republican and safe Democratic states. So looking at the safe Republican states in alphabetical order, we have Arkansas. There's no Democratic challenger in the state of Arkansas. Idaho, Louisiana, Nebraska, Oklahoma, South Dakota. I'm not actually seeing any polling in the state of South Dakota, but it's very unlikely that a Republican is going to win South Dakota. Tennessee, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Moving across to the safe Democratic seats, we have Delaware, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Oregon, and Rhode Island. So adding together the safe seats plus the seats that are not up for election this year, we see a total of 42 safe Democrat seats and 39 safe Republican seats. So now moving into the likely Republican seats, we start off again alphabetical order. We have the state of Alabama. Would be a Republican pickup. Doug Jones is the current senator from the state of Alabama. Polling has this. One poll has it at Tommy Tuberville up by plus 15, and then the other poll has Doug Jones up by plus 1. Both are partisan polls, and so even though this is well into the margin of safe for the Republicans, just due to the lack of polling in Alabama and the lack of credible polling, I have this down at likely for the Republicans. The next seat that is likely is the seat of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. Do I think that Mitch McConnell is going to lose this seat? Absolutely not. He's going to win this seat, even with all of the money that is going to his challenger and Amy McGrath. I do not see him losing this seat. It will not just get up to the margin to make it a safe Republican seat. The next seat that we are looking at is Mississippi, which, again, much like Alabama, there is no reliable polling coming out of there. So what I had to do was I went to 538, and they had Hyde Smith up by 10 points, which I took. And again, much like Kentucky, I do not think that the Republicans will lose the state of Mississippi. I just do not think that it will be to the margins that make it a safe state. So looking at the likely Republican states, we already have one flip in the Senate. Now moving to the likely Democrat states, we see a couple of flips. We see the state of Arizona be a flip with Mark Kelly. There's a lot of good polling coming out of Arizona, which is to be expected in a high-profile race as Arizona is. Polls have him anywhere up from 6 to 10 points, which puts that in the likely column. Colorado is the same way. Colorado has good polling coming out of it, but we are just not seeing it to meet the mark of likely. I believe Hickenlooper will win the state of Colorado. The next likely state is that of Michigan. It's not a strong margin, but he is leading this state pretty comfortably and has for a while. Same goes for Minnesota. The margin isn't large, but this is Tina Smith should win the Senate race in Minnesota. New Mexico is the same way. It is an open seat, but it would be a hold for the Democrats. It falls right on the cusp of safe versus likely. I strongly believe the Democrats will win New Mexico. And then Virginia is another state that is right on the cusp of likely versus safe. 538 has this as a blowout race for Mark Warner. I personally believe it's going to be a little bit closer than that, and that is what the polling is showing us as well. An A-B rated poll by 538 has this race at 7 points. Another A-B rated poll has this race at 9 points. So at the end of the likely Democrat seats, we have 2 flips. So right now we are at a net gain of 1 seat for the Democratic Party. Moving on to the lean Republican states, we see the state of Alaska being a lean Republican state. There are a couple of polls that are coming out of Alaska, but they're not as highly rated. The 1A+ poll has the Republican incumbent up by 8 points, but due to the uncertainty in my eyes, there is a BC rated poll that has Al Gross up by 1 point, and then another one that has this race even. So just due to the uncertainty, I have this down at a lean rating. Kansas is the next state that I have rated as lean for the Republican Party. There is no recent polling out of Kansas. 538 has this at a 72% chance of winning for the Republican Party, but they have the vote share at 50 to 46. So based on that vote share, I am putting this in the lean column right on the edge of the likely column. I do believe that the Republicans will hold Kansas. The next one is Montana. They do have already a Democratic senator from the state of Montana. It would not be surprising if this did go blue. The polling is all over the place when it comes to this race. Some races have Dames up by 9 points. Others have Bullock, the challenger, up by 1 point. The poll that he is up by 1 point is a marked partisan poll, but I still think this will go to the Republican Party. Moving on, next is South Carolina, which is changing every day. There's a ton of money pouring into this race. Not as much money as the race due north of it, but there is still a lot of time left. There's a lot of animosity against Lindsey Graham in the state of South Carolina, but he is leading in the only A+ rated poll by 6 points. There are other polls that have Harrison up by 1 point, and then another poll that has the race even. There's just uncertainty at this point, which is why I have this as a lean Republican state. And then the last lean Republican race would be that of Texas. We have seen this from the past. We have seen Texas from 2008 to 2012 to 2016 to now 2020 has moved further away from being a true safe Republican state to being more down the middle. I think the fact that Vice President Biden is competitive in this state will have down ballot implications. The polling has this anywhere from a 3 to 8 point race, which is why I have this on the lean Republican side. And then moving to the Democratic side, there's only one lean Democrat state, which is the state of Maine. I am projecting that the Democrats will pick up 1 seat, and Susan Collins will not be re-elected to her seat in Maine. Looking at the polling, Gideon is up by anywhere from 5 to 8 points. There's not a lot of recent polling from the state, but I believe that Susan Collins did not do enough. And that is all of the lean states. So right now, after the lean states, we are at a 49 to 47 race. Democrats only need 1 seat and the vice presidency to pick up control of the Senate. Moving on to the tilt states, I have 1 race marked as a tilt for the Republican Party, and that is the Georgia regular election. This race has tightened up a lot over the last month. Polling has this at a dead heat, with an A+ rated poll having this race as even, but 538 gives Purdue, the incumbent, a 71% chance of winning in their current Senate forecast. Based on that, I see this going to the Republican Party, but it's going to be a close race. It's going to be a close race. Moving on to the tilt Democratic seats, we stay in Georgia for the Georgia special election. This seat is a jungle primary, and while it is no doubt that the Democrat Warnock will win the Georgia special, they will have to face either Kelly Loeffler, who is the incumbent, or Collins, who is a sitting representative from the state of Georgia who President Trump wanted to fill the vacancy. No matter which one of those he faces, no matter which person he faces, Right now, polling has Warnock at a +4 lead. The fact that this will go to a special election after Election Day, I'm having this at a tilt Democrat right now, just because of the amount of undecideds that are still out there. Moving over to a huge potential pickup for the Democrats, I'm sure you've seen it now, that is the state of Iowa. Right now, polling has Greenfield up by 4 or 5 points, depending on where you look at. When I looked at 538's forecast earlier today, they had a 59% chance of winning for Greenfield. While this could be a lean Democrat state, I have it in the tilt Democrat state just because this has been going all over the place recently, and the fact that the president is doing well in the state of Iowa. And then that just leaves the state of North Carolina to be a tilt Democratic state. The reason I have North Carolina in the tilt Democratic state while others have it in the lean Democratic state is there was a very recent poll that came out and had this race at even. I believe ABC News just came out with a 2-point margin for Cal Cunningham. But this is the most expensive Senate race in history. $242 million has been spent on this race. I'm sure more money will be spent on this race in the next 13 days, which is just hard to believe. But I personally believe that this still can go either way. North Carolina did vote for President Trump in 2016, but they elected a Democratic governor in 2016 in Roy Cooper as well. And that's where we stand. We are, with all of the races filled in, my projection right now, based on the polling data that I am seeing, the numbers are saying that this will be a 52-48 Democratic-controlled Senate after the 2020 election. This is a net pickup of 5 seats for the Democrats. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll post my map in the description below so you can look at it and post your link back to your map, what you think is going to happen. We're a brand new channel here at Poll Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time.